There are so many builds for all the origin characters, but the one I don't see much is for Jaheira. I like to build her out as a dual-wielding fighter more than a druid. I mean, we already got Halsin, so. Because of all the jokes they tell about her advanced maturity, I wanted to build her in a way where she uses wisdom for literally everything. Like, she doesn't need dexterity, she doesn't need strength. She beats people down with the power of her own wisdom. And with that, she became a human chainsaw. Well, elven chainsaw, just slicing through whole rows of people constantly, being able to maneuver herself at any point in the battlefield, all with having a spell save DC that rivals the wizard in the group. It's a really fun and effective twist on a character that not a lot of people play, and maybe if they put 2 giant swords in her hands, they would. I mean, she was a fighter in the first 2 games, right? So it's not that much of a stretch. Hey, I hope you liked the build. There'll be chapters below if you wanted to skip around. Bye! So, starting off with the levels, she comes to you when you're about level 8 in the game, so, which is pretty cool. So you get to make a lot of decisions immediately without having to drag it out for, like, you know, all of 2 acts. The very first level, I could see one of 2 different things happening. You could keep the first level as a druid and get a lot of really good druid spells, so like Healing Word or Entangle. We're going to have a stupid high spell save DC, so they would be pretty effective. But if we're going to continue the whole dual sword fighting badass chick, I would grab Rogue for our first level, and I would take it up 3, all the way to Thief. I know Fast Hands is a bit of a cliche, but having 2 bonus actions is very, very needed when you're playing a dual-wielding fighter. Having that additional attack is better than a second attack, honestly. There's far more freedom with it. You can do so much more. Roll Rogue over to level 4 and grab your first feat, which is going to be the dual-wielding feat. There are 2 specific swords we're going to use for her because we're going to be using wisdom only, and we find those at the end of Act 2, so you'll have both those weapons before you get her. But to hold them together, you'll need the dual-wielding feat. And we're done with Rogue. It seems like we didn't get too much out of it, but we do have Sneak Attack now, which is usable on every turn. 3 new actions we can use with our bonus action now that we have 2 of them. We got a bunch of skills to start, and we have expertise in 2 different skills. There's a lot there, and now it's time for us to start Ranger. At level 1, we get to pick 2 different options from Favorite Enemy and Natural Explorer, and some of these are duds, and some of them are actually pretty useful. I like the Ranger Knight always. It just gives us the ability to wear heavy armor. Bounty Hunter is okay for Rangers, I guess. I'm not really big on Bounty Hunter, honestly. I'm not big on Ensnaring Strike. If you're going to be a Ranger, you're going to be using Hunter's Mark, and Ensnaring Strike takes that away. For Natural Explorer, it's an easy one though. We're going to pick the one that gives us fire resistance. Fire is the most used element in the game, so only taking half the damage from it is pretty handy. Our next level opens up spells and a fighting style, so we get to pick the 2 weapon fighting. So we can now use our modifier on our offhand weapon, and when we do that, that weapon is going to just pull wisdom automatically. You don't have to do anything special. As far as spells go, I definitely suggest taking Hunter's Mark and Cure Wounds. The other ones aren't that helpful unless you really want to talk to animals with Jahera. Our next level opens up our subclass, and I picked Hunter with Colossus Slayer, adding a D8 of damage on top of anybody who's already taken damage. This is definitely a really good option for people who are not playing Honor Mode. The Colossus Slayer rolls itself separately, so a lot of additional pings and add-ons will actually go twice if you're using this. Say someone has Falara Louve active around you, and you hit them. That Falara Louve is going to do a D4 Thunder on your regular attack, and another one on your Colossus. Honor Mode fixed that. I would say it's still a good choice to choose for an Honor Mode run, but Gloomstalker is going to get a lot more damage out for you. Our next level is going to give us a feat, so we can take an ability score increase. So let's talk about our stats. When we made our character, we need to make sure that our wisdom is highest, obvs, and that we have a 15 in constitution. The other stats don't matter a whole lot when it comes to fighting. I do like to keep dexterity at a 14 just in case I decide to wear medium armor, even though I don't need to. You could totally dump dex if you want and slap on a dope piece of heavy armor and just be totally fine. But for this, she hits with her wisdom and she gets hit with her con, so we're going to roll those to 18 and 16 respectively. The next level opens up second attack. Super dope. We now get to attack 4 times on our turn without doing anything kind of funny. We also get second level ranger spells, and I suggest Spike Growth. Spike Growth is totally clutch, especially in the third act. You're doing a lot of stuff inside, so it's really easy to trap people into stuff. 6th level lets us pick favorite enemy and natural explorer again, and I suggest taking the one that gives resistance to poison. Poison gets used quite a bit, especially from the assassins, so that's going to be very helpful. The 7th level lets us choose something called a defensive tactic. This is something that only hunters get. There are 3 different ones you can choose. 2 of them are not great at all, and 1 of them is actually pretty sick. So definitely to choose the multi-attack defense. This is going to give you a +4 to your AC, kinda, to melee attacks, as long as you were swung at earlier. So it's really helpful, especially if you get totally bombarded by enemies. Our last level with Ranger is going to give us another feat, increasing our Wisdom to 20. As far as equipment goes, when we are deciding to use our Wisdom in replace of Dexterity or Strength, there are 2 weapons that make that incredibly easy, and that would be the Infernal Rapier and the Sylvan Scimitar. Luckily, the Sylvan Scimitar comes with Jaheria, so you know, you're halfway done. The Infernal Rapier, it's a little more difficult to get, but you will be getting it before you pick up Jaheria, so the timing is still pretty sick. When you chase Ketheric down into the hole at Moonrise Towers, make sure you bring Will with you. Then when you free Minzora, you'll have an option to bargain for additional stuff for, you know, getting her the hell out of there. And that additional item will be the Infernal Rapier. Besides looking cool as hell, this rapier is +2. It comes with a free summon. It's like a level 6 spell that you can just use once a long rest. And both this and the Sylvan Scimitar will use your spellcasting modifier instead of strength and dex. If you ever want to create a warlock in the future that's a Pact of the Blade warlock and that uses dual wielding, these are definitely really good choices for you to use. Pact of the Blade can only be put on 1 item at a time, you know, so just, you know, future thought. Now, just regular dual wielding in this game is not that strong, especially compared to, you know, Tavern Brawler monks and warlocks that use Divine Smite, stuff like that. But there's a bunch of equipment that you can use that can augment Hunter's Mark to turn you and it into just a super buff badass. Hunter's Mark itself is a condition, so we'll equip stuff that give you additional stuff based on putting on a condition. The Diadem of Synergy will let you add that huge wisdom score again onto all of our hits, effectively making every hit a +10. The Boots of Stormy Clamor will then put Reverberation on any target that you put Hunter's Mark, and Reverberation will lower the dexterity, making them easier to hit, you know? Weapon skills also count as conditions, like Flourish or Weaken Grip, just to continue putting that in without having to cast it every time. But you do have 2 bonus actions. So now, unlike regular rangers, you can cast Hunter's Mark and then go in for a double hit. I like to add additional elemental damage, especially when I'm doing a character that's going to be hitting multiple times. So the Dark Justiciar gauntlets that you can find in the gauntlet will toss an additional d4 necrotic to every hit. Because we'll be concentrating on the Hunter's Mark, the Strange Conduit Ring is also a really good add-on. It's probably going to be already used with someone else, so you might want to try the Caustic Band that you can buy from the Dwarven Cellar in the Underdark. This will add 2 points of acid to every one of your hits. Lastly, I do like to put the Darkfire Shortbow on her. I don't do very much range fighting, but the additional haste cast that you can get from that is absolutely dope. A hasted Jaheria can do 12d6 plus 60 slashing, plus 64 necrotic and 64 psychic, and 12 acid. Hey, thanks for watching my video. I hope you liked it. Let me know in the comment what origin character you want to see a build for. A huge thank you to all my sponsors, but especially these guys right here. All sponsors of Venture or Hire get to be put into a weekly raffle that gets pulled every Sunday. But this Sunday, I'm picking one from every category. So if you want to join that list, there's a link in the description. This Sunday, all the winners are getting one of my Create Destroy Water t-shirts. Alright, have a great night, guys. Bye! I love you.